Welcome to NYNJPA Weather, your weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic. I'm meteorologist Stephen DiMartino. Well, we've had some surprise snowfall over the New York City metropolitan area back through portions of the Philadelphia metropolitan area due to a disturbance that is moving through the region as of this morning. This disturbance is basically the result of warm air trying to push over this Arctic air mass that's currently in place, and as a result, light to moderate snow has been falling. Now, snowfall amounts range anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, and the interesting aspect of this snowfall is that it does not appear to be declining at all at this time. However, I do expect the majority of this snow to begin to end around 12 to 1 p.m. From west to east as the best dynamics with this disturbance start to exit into the Atlantic. But this is just an appetizer of what is to come, and what is to come tomorrow night through Thursday could be rather interesting for the entire northern mid-Atlantic and could produce once again another major snowfall. Let's take a look at the latest water vapor satellite picture. Before I do that, I just want to quickly point out the development of our storm in the Gulf of Mexico and all the moisture and thunderstorms that are developing over parts of Georgia and Florida, and the heavy precipitation all the way back through the Mississippi River Valley. Why is this important? Well, again, let's look at the water vapor, but I wanted you to see the thunderstorms actually developing already over the southeast. Alright, so here we have our powerful subtropical disturbance circled in yellow, and you can see where I have the forecasted storm track, where the low basically is right now developing to the south of Louisiana and will move towards the North Carolina coast, then to the east of the New Jersey coast by early Thursday morning, and that is where this storm gets very interesting. Meanwhile, note our Arctic disturbance is quickly moving through the plains of Canada and diving south towards the Great Lakes. Now, there are several features I want to point out on the water vapor this morning I find rather interesting. First, you can see our strong little disturbance over parts of northeastern Pennsylvania and the enhanced blues and greens that have supported the snowfall over the region this morning. That disturbance exits. But that disturbance tells us the dynamic nature of the atmosphere and how strong this warm air advection is. So the question is, what happens when this rather aggressive warm air starts to interact with that powerful disturbance over central Canada? And that's where this forecast gets very interesting, because we're clearly dealing with a moisture-loaded, dynamic, and powerful Gulf Coast storm. And that Gulf Coast storm is going to move up the East Coast. And the one aspect that really concerns me with this storm is that disturbance over Canada is going to dive towards the Great Lakes and will reach the Great Lakes just in time as our coastal low reaches the New Jersey coast. And as a result, that's when the phase is most likely to happen. And if the area low pressure rapidly intensifies off the New Jersey coast at all levels of the atmosphere, that creates a rapid changeover from rain to snow, and that snow can be very heavy. So let's take a look at the forecast, and I'll go a little bit more in depth and exactly what I'm expecting based on the data I have right now. So this is the snowfall forecast map as of 10 a.m. this morning. This is before most of the 12Z model guidance is in. I did not include the 12Z NAM in this forecast as I'm a bit suspicious as to whether it's actually correct, and it's missing some key upper level data for the forecast for locations along the Gulf Coast. So I kept that model guidance out of this forecast. Now, for eastern Pennsylvania, for portions of, let's say, Lancaster up towards Scranton, and basically northern east central Pennsylvania, 1 to 3 inches at most. The further west you go, the less likely you'll see steady snowfall based on this current forecast right now. And then 3 to 6 inches as you move a little bit further east towards Allentown and parts of Reading. And then the heavier snow is expected 6 to 12 inches along the basically the northern Delaware River Valley, cutting up through central Hudson Valley and off towards much of Connecticut, especially away from the coast. 4 to 8 inches for the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area. But notice I have 4 to 8 inches plus along the New Jersey coast, specifically north of Atlantic City, where I'm only expecting 2 to 4 inches over southern New Jersey. But 4 to 8 inches plus from basically Atlantic County all the way up through the coastal sections of Connecticut and also parts of Long Island. Now, this is where this forecast gets very interesting. Based on all the data I have in front of me right now, what I'm expecting is for mostly snow in that 6 to 12 inch area. Okay, now that 6 to 12 is highly dependent on the idea that first there's a prolonged period of light to moderate snow getting you up to 6 inches, and then you get some heavier snow bands pushing you up to 6 to 8 to possibly even as much as a foot of snow. The best dynamics and banding is going to be along the coast because that's where the best thermal dynamics are going to be. However, if this storm shifts just a little bit to the east or a little bit to the west, this entire forecast changes. It's an extremely highly volatile forecast with a disturbance that is coming from the Gulf that really isn't handled very well by the model guidance at this point, especially as far as the precipitation shield. And then you have that wild card with the Arctic disturbance. Now, if you get the phase just right and all the levels of the atmosphere of this low pressure system intensify at the right time on Wednesday night into Thursday morning as cold air is building in, then what you end up with is very strong dynamic banding along the immediate New Jersey coast through Long Island, the New York City metropolitan area, and southern Connecticut. And that would push snowfall totals over the current 4 to 8 inch snowfall mark. Where those bands set up, I'm not entirely sure. The other aspect here to consider is that if this low pressure system does bomb out off the New Jersey coast, even stronger than what I'm currently thinking, because I'm only going with a partial phase here. If the full phase occurs and you get a very strong dynamic system, what you end up with is very strong lifting along the coast, far less snowfall over parts of Pennsylvania because there has to be sinking air somewhere, and the heaviest snowfall shifted towards the coast. And oh, by the way, a much colder forecast as well. The other aspect to consider here is that unlike other storms, this time the boundary layer is not exactly the coldest, and as a result, your snow ratios are going to be more around 1 to 10 rather than what we've seen previously this winter around 1 to 20. So we're looking at a heavy, wet snowfall regardless of where the heaviest snowfall actually ends up. This is not going to be the type of snow where you can just kind of brush away. This is going to be a very heavy, wet, difficult to shovel snowfall. So just be prepared for that on Thursday morning. At this point, another factor that's going to be key as far as the snowfall totals is going to be the speed in which the rain changes over to snow along the coast, and also, by the way, how fast the low pressure system moves. If you get a full phase, this low pressure system moves slower. If the phase really doesn't occur and the low pressure system just keeps on moving along, then the time for the snowfall will decrease and the snow will exit a little bit faster, thus reducing the snowfall totals. So there's a lot of uncertainty in this forecast, a lot of moving parts. I'm looking to have much better observational data for this storm this afternoon, in which then I will issue a new snowfall map and send out regional emails. So clearly we are dealing with a highly volatile forecast. So stay tuned to NYNJPA Weather. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and of course the website itself for the latest updates on this major winter storm. I'm meteorologist Stephen D. Martino. Have an excellent day.